Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something super fascinating, the era of dual transformation. Right now, we're living through this crazy moment where the lightning-fast digital shift of AI agents is directly colliding with the massive physical scale-up of fleet electrification. Now, I know what you might be thinking. These seem like two completely different worlds, right? Cloud computing over here and concrete infrastructure over there. But as we're going to see today, they actually share the exact same growing pains when it comes to bridging that huge gap between running an exciting pilot program and actually driving real, measurable enterprise value.
We've broken this explainer down into 6 key parts today. First up, the dual transformation era. 2, the state of AI agents. 3, redesigning the AI workflow. 4, scaling EV infrastructure. 5, smart fleets and software. And finally, number 6, measuring the real impact.
All right, let's just jump right in with a pretty crucial question. It's one that really highlights the friction between our big technological ambitions and our actual boots-on-the-ground readiness. The question is this: are organizations actually ready for the future? Because let's be honest, it's one thing to just buy a shiny new software license or order a massive fleet of electric trucks, but it's a completely different beast to fundamentally rewire your business so you can actually use them effectively.
That brings us to Section 2. The state of AI agents.
So right now, we're facing what the Microsoft 2026 Work Trend Index calls the transformation paradox. Basically, employees are incredibly eager for AI. They totally see the potential to automate all that boring, mundane stuff and just focus on high-value work. But here's the catch. Their organizational systems are acting as a massive bottleneck. The people are ready and raring to go, but the actual infrastructure, the data readiness, and the operational guardrails, they simply aren't there yet.
And we can see this friction crystal clear in the latest global survey data from McKinsey. A massive 62% of organizations are telling us they're at least experimenting with AI agents. And to be clear, we aren't just talking about your basic run-of-the-mill chatbots here. These are advanced systems capable of acting in the real world and executing complex multi-step workflows. There's just this unbelievable curiosity and a huge rush to pilot these tools, especially in IT and knowledge management. But moving from a flashy pilot project to scaled, widespread impact, well, that's a whole different story.
And here comes the crucial reality check. Despite all the intense hype and the fact that literally almost everyone is experimenting, only 39% of respondents actually report seeing an enterprise-level financial impact from their AI initiatives. Specifically, we're talking about an impact on their EBIT, or earnings before interest and taxes. And it gets wilder because out of that 39%, most are saying it accounts for less than a 5% impact. So what does this tell us? It shows a massive value gap between simply adopting the tech and actually making it boost the bottom line.
Moving right along to Section 3, redesigning the AI workflow.
To close that massive gap we just talked about, the data reveals 3 very specific steps taken by high-performing organizations. First up, they don't just use AI as a tool to cut costs. No, they set really aggressive growth and innovation objectives. Second, they fundamentally redesign their workflows. You absolutely cannot just plug a shiny new AI agent into an old, broken process and expect miracles. It doesn't work that way. You've got to rebuild the entire process around what the AI can actually do. And that leads perfectly into the third step, which honestly is where the real magic happens. They keep the human in the loop. True scaling requires human validation and deep expertise. It's all about hybrid intelligence, pairing seasoned domain experts with AI to basically create a workplace superpower rather than trying to replace human roles outright. This whole mindset is just perfectly captured by McKinsey's Tara Balakrishnan. She points out that true AI transformation demands a bold ambition to reimagine the business. Basically, if your only mandate is to pinch pennies and cut costs, you severely limit the technology's potential. But if you flip that and position it as an engine for growth, you galvanize the entire organization. And ironically, creating that space for innovation actually makes capturing those efficiency improvements so much easier down the road.
All right, let's shift gears to Section 4, scaling EV infrastructure. Now we're transitioning from the digital world straight into the physical one. When it comes to commercial charging depots, think about pouring tons of concrete, securing all those permits, and plugging in high-voltage EV chargers. It brings an entirely new, heavy-duty set of logistical hurdles. We're talking physical transformation now, but you know what's wild? The scaling challenges are incredibly similar to what we saw with AI. You simply cannot mandate fleet electrification from a cushy boardroom. You actually have to get your hands dirty and deal with the hard realities of real estate, trenching, grid power constraints, and local utility timelines.
Just consider these findings from Altura Associates during a massive 500-location retail EV rollout.
At first, relying on a single nationwide installer seemed like the smart, clean, centralized strategy, right? But in reality, it was a totally different story. It caused severe delays, incredibly inefficient communication, and it completely struggled out in rural areas. The individual franchises actually strongly preferred the speed and cost efficiency of using local installers. So, just like with AI, a top-down mandate often just crashes and burns when it hits local realities without a flexible, adaptable operating model.
Now get ready for this, because this is a fascinating and honestly somewhat shocking paradox from Altura's analytics. Depending on regional electric grid emission factors, deploying EVs in areas with dirty electric grids, meaning grids that are still heavily reliant on coal or fossil fuels, can actually result in a worse environmental impact than just using traditional internal combustion engines. I mean, think about that for a second. It means organizations have to be deeply, intensely strategic about exactly where they deploy their initial EV infrastructure to ensure they're actually hitting their sustainability goals, rather than accidentally moving backward.
And that brings us right to Section 5, Smart Fleets and Software.
This is the crucial intersection where those physical and digital worlds finally meet. Looking at things like the in-control charge management software, you can see exactly how organizations are maintaining control over these massive physical fleets. We are talking about achieving a crazy 99.99% platform uptime. From a simple tablet depot view, fleet managers can track real-time vehicle state of charge, they can monitor charger health, and, this is huge, they can actually conduct 75% of all charger repairs remotely just using the software. If you're wondering what redesigning the workflow looks like in the physical world, well, this is exactly it.
And let me tell you, this level of tight software integration translates directly to the bottom line. Fleets using these platforms have achieved an absolutely impressive 45% average cost savings, and that's simply by utilizing smart load management features. By intelligently managing exactly when and how fast their vehicles are charging, they can totally avoid those brutal peak utility demand charges. Essentially, the software takes this massive, scary capital expense and turns it into a highly optimized, super efficient operational system.
Let's wrap things up with Section 6, Measuring the Real Impact.
Looking back at Altura's retail data, we can see real proof that infrastructure isn't just a giant cost center. Installing customer-facing chargers actually directly drove revenue. Get this, one franchise famously saw a whopping 60% sales increase in just a single month as EV drivers stopped by, plugged in, and shopped while they waited. Another location pulled in over $3,000 in its first year, purely from charging fees alone. On top of all that, employees reported an enhanced community reputation and way better customer interactions. It perfectly mirrors our earlier AI finding. When you position your transformation for growth and not just cost compliance, amazing things happen.
And on the environmental scale, the impact of getting this right is literally staggering. Data from InCharge shows that their commercial fleets have prevented over 20,000 metric tons of CO2 from being emitted. To kind of put that enormous number into perspective, that is the equivalent of over 2.2 million gallons of gasoline saved or 22 million pounds of coal not burned. It just goes to show that when you successfully combine digital intelligence with hard physical infrastructure, the scale of your impact can be truly massive.
So I'm going to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought to take back to your own teams. Is your organization merely experimenting, or are you truly transforming? Because whether you are rolling out AI agents to your knowledge workers, or you're out there deploying electric vehicles across your delivery routes, the fundamental question remains exactly the same. Are you just running these isolated little pilots to check a box and say you did it? Or are you fundamentally rewiring your workflows, your software, and your people to actually own the future? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today, and I really hope this gives you the structured clarity you need to go out there and build that future.